Welcome! This video will go through the top 8 checkmate patterns you must know, whether you are new or an expert. So, without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Our first mating pattern is known as the Reti mate, invented by Reti. This sequence is where the bishop and rook team up to deliver checkmate. The bishop is the piece which delivers the mate, whereas the rook covers the file and protects the bishop. The example shown is a very famous game played between high-level grandmasters. Here, can you find the mate in 3? We first sacrifice the queen, bringing the king to the d file. Now, bishop g5 gives a check. Black has 2 squares to go to. If black goes to e8, we deliver mate with rook d8. If not and black decides to play c7, we end the match with the move bishop d8. Up next is the Arabian Mate. This is when the knight and rook team up to deliver mate to the king on the side of the board. The rook is the piece which delivers the mate, whereas the knight is the piece which defends and covers the only square left where the king could have gone. In this example, we can see that the knight is played to f6, giving black a check. Black has 1 square left, and when the king is moved, we take on the pawn with the rook, giving checkmate. As you can see, the knight defends the rook and the g8 square. Now, onto the Smothered Mate. The Smothered Mate is a very familiar mating type that a majority of players are familiar with. This is when the knight delivers the mate, and the opposing king is mostly or completely surrounded by its own pieces. This special mating sequence signifies the unique attacking shape the knight attacks in. Here, in this example, can you find the mate in 4? Well, it starts with knight f7 check, which brings the king to the g8 square. White now plays knight h6, which gives a double check on the black king. The king has 2 options to go to. One is f8 and the other is h8. If the king goes to f8, then queen f7 is mate. If king goes to h8, then we play queen g8, giving a check. The knight defends the queen, therefore the king cannot take, however the rook can take, and it is forced. Finally, knight f7 is the final nail in the coffin. Similar to the Smothered Mate, we've got the Suffocation Mate. Here, the knight is the piece which delivers mate, however a bishop covers up the diagonal where the king could have escaped to. Here, in this example, can you find the mate in 3? It first starts off with knight takes on h6, which is a double check. The black king only has 1 place to go to, which is h8. Now, white plays the brilliant queen sacrifice on g8. Here, the knight takes and white delivers mate on f7. Notice that the only square left where the king could have gone to is covered by the light-squared bishop on d3. Now, it's the hook mate. This checkmate pattern is very rare, yet reward-giving at the end. This occurs when a rook delivers mate, and a knight protects the rook, to which the knight is usually protected by a pawn. In this position, can you find the mate in 4? Have a pause and figure it out. Well, the winning move is queen takes on d8, which is a check. The black king takes and white delivers a check with the rook on e8. The rook is defended by the knight, therefore the only move black can play is king c7. White delivers mate on c8 with the rook. Notice that one of black's pawn is blocking the way? Well, in other scenarios, if a pawn or other piece is not there, it will be crucial to have one of our own pieces defending that square. Next up is the double bishop mate. The double bishop mate is a satisfying mating technique where two bishops are involved. The two bishops cover the two diagonals, and the rest of the squares are blocked by friendly pieces. Here, in this scenario, white first sacrifices the queen. This sacrifice is necessary in order to open up the light square diagonal. So when the black pawn captures it, white plays bishop a6, checkmate. The bishop on f4 covers all the dark square on the diagonal, and so does the light squared bishop on its diagonal. The rest of the squares are blocked by black's own pieces. Here, we've got the dovetail mate. The dovetail mate occurs when a king has been checkmated by the opposing queen, and the remaining two squares left are blocked by friendly pieces, which a majority of the times are pawns. The queen covers the diagonal, vertical and horizontal squares which the king could have escaped to. The pawns which restrict the king from moving are in an L-shaped position opposite of the queen. In this position, we can see that white first lures the king towards a square where checkmate can be delivered. The queen is defended by the rook. Back rank mate is one of the most common forms of mate, in which checkmate is delivered by a vertically attacking piece, which is either the rook or the queen. The king is on the back rank, which is the first rank for white, or the 8th rank for black. A rook or queen delivers the mate. The opposing player can't block the check or take the piece. The only option left for the king is to move, however friendly pieces restrict the king from moving from the rank. In this position here, white first sacrifices the queen. The black rook takes and white rook recaptures, delivering checkmate. The Morphy mate, named after the great Paul Morphy, is a mating technique which uses a rook and bishop. The bishop is the piece which delivers the mate, whereas the rook is the piece that covers the square so that the king cannot escape. The king gets checkmated in the corner of the board, and the one space left where the king could escape to is blocked by a friendly piece. In this example here, white first takes the pawn with the rook, which is protected by the dark squared bishop. The king moves, and the white rook takes the pawn on the left, which is a discovered check. Black king moves back into the starting position, and white once again delivers a check on g7. The king moves back to h8. White finally delivers mate by moving the rook anywhere on the g-file. The rook blocks the check, and bishop takes, thus delivering mate by the bishop, plus the file is covered by the rook.